All right, I think we'll start the meeting now. We got okay, got all these different glasses. Okay, guys and gals, welcome to MSYSA's webinar that we hold every other Friday at 11:30. Um, hopefully, hopefully the information that we provide on these meetings will help some of you gain some information to help you get a clear idea of what's happening in the soccer venue, especially in Maryland, but we do also have information nationally and regionally too. So my name is Mark Cantor. I'm president of MSYSA. I'm happy to be hosting these meetings for everyone. And one of the great things about hosting these meetings is, as weird as it sounds, we got to know a lot of us got to know each other through the webinar that we didn't know as well early on, but now I feel like you guys are family. I look forward to seeing you guys every other Friday. This is a recorded call, so of course, if you want to go back or if other people want to listen to it later, it will be recorded. You can go on the MSYSA website. If we ask you that you listen in the mute, that way there's no background disturbance when our speakers are chatting. And if you do want to have a comment and you don't want to use the chat feature and you want to actually ask your question or make a comment, please identify yourself and your affiliation. So now that we got that out of the way, I just wanted to report that our dear board member, Trish, her son, Patrick, lost his battle this week. I think Tuesday morning, I got the text message from Trish. And Patrick was in the hospital for over 2 weeks. He had he was on a ventilator. We thought that, we as members of the board and the members of the soccer community were praying and hopeful that Patrick would make it. He was only 29 years of age, and it's so sad. And today is because of COVID, there's no funeral, but today is the day that Trish and the family is going to say goodbye to Patrick. It's just like this, just the saddest day ever. And my heart goes out to Trish and her family, and I know you guys too. She basically told me just recently that the soccer community has been such a great crutch for her throughout these last couple of weeks and this week. Knowing that we're there for her is such a good feeling for her and her family. And I'm basically lost for words, other than I'm in complete sadness for her and her family. And we'll support her and help her any way we can. So if you want to send Trish and her family an email, we can post her email on the website or on this chat site today, and you could just maybe send her anything you want to say to her about how much we appreciate her and what she's done for the soccer community, and how sad we are for her losing a 29-year-old son. Anyway, moving on. We don't have a guest speaker today because we have a lot of other information that we wanted to provide today. And I was going to make them last, but we'll make them first since you're all wide awake. If I made them last, you guys would be sleeping at the end of the hour. So Alan Lydiate, one of our webinar professionals that has been with us from the beginning, putting these webinars together, he behind the scenes is always prepared to provide as much information that he can to the soccer community of Maryland. He works behind the scenes relentlessly. He makes our job a lot easier because he's so prepared. Sometimes I joke with him that his information is long, but it's very informative. And hopefully the information that he provides helps you guys in one way or the other get a little clarity, because Alan does a lot of research on these topics. So Alan, why don't you go ahead, and I'm going to put a timer on.
20 minutes, let me out of here. Appreciate it. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, so just really, I think the most important one for us as obviously club leaders is obviously going in, as we head towards the indoor season, as we head towards winter. So I'm just going to give a little bit of an update, and we've added to our return to play guidelines. So we'll just skim through those. A little bit on the county update, primarily from Montgomery County. And I just want to kind of get a heads up there from a couple of others. There's a new roadshow that I'd like to introduce, and it's going to tie in with the recreational committee that we've formed, and we'll look at some of that, as well as the newsletter, and just really asking for a little bit of feedback if you've been receiving the newsletter. What were your thoughts? And then obviously we've got lots planned to update it, but this season was our first season and we wanted to get it up and running. So, hopefully get a little bit of feedback there. And then just to touch quickly on coaching education courses. The grassroots courses are now available, to host. So we're obviously looking to set up courses as much as possible during the winter season. So just kind of touch base from there. So first and foremost is, as we head into indoors, there's, obviously some other considerations that we have to start to think about as club leadership or as coaches with teams. It's a little bit different than being outside. Obviously, again, the risk is obviously a lot greater. And each facility, whether it's, a school gym, whether it's a private facility, anything that we do when we go indoors, it's really about asking the right questions so we know that we can provide the best information to our parents, and hopefully make sure that we continue to play safely and obviously keep the kids active and keep them going through the winter season. So I'm not going to read out from the page. I think what's really important is to remember that these are just considerations. They are not mandates. They're not, hard guidelines. Guidelines. It's rules that we're imposing. These are just considerations for you to think about in your own experiences. Again, it boils down to the county, the local county government, what their policies are when it comes to things like, supporters or additional people inside the gym and the numbers, whether you have to wear masks, whether you don't wear masks. A lot of these things are individual, and it depends on the location that you're in, and depends on the facility that you're using. So we've tried to provide as many questions or, sort of considerations as we could think possible as you head towards the indoors. As you can see there where it says click here, and there's explanations centered around, we've added an Excel sheet which gives you an idea of, basically the air quality. Obviously, if you go indoors, depending on the size of the facility, it's important that you may ask the facility, what is the air quality? So it basically means how often does the airflow change within that room, within that size of a gym, or, if it's a church room that you use, anything like that, we have to be aware of, all of the risks that are associated. So there's just an extra Excel sheet in there that you can utilize to understand better the air quality within certain facilities. Again, I think everything else falls into line, mask, social distancing, washing your hands, coaches wearing masks whenever possible. And again, like I say, this has been added to our return to play document. So if you go to our website under the COVID-19 tab, and at the bottom there, I think it's page 8, this has been added to our overall document, and hopefully it can provide you with some guidance. If it's not, if you're looking at it and you have questions, always feel free to reach out to myself or the office. And we can, obviously, it's like in the beginning, it's a working document. We may add as you find issues that you're not getting answers to, so we may put in there additional. So just keep us posted on anything that you come across, any challenges that you're facing with regards to moving into indoors. So I kind of want to introduce everybody to the Grassroots Roadshow. I know some of you have been around long enough and have probably experienced the old Train the Trainer program, which was available many years ago. And it was really the coaching education staff coming out to clubs, maybe for a field session, giving some demonstrations on particular, on particular practices. The roadshow is really very similar to that, but it's very flexible. It's really an opportunity to provide the clubs or organizations or member associations an opportunity really for different avenues, really to meet your needs. Really, if you're for example, if you're a travel club and you want to host an educational component for your coaches, and have us as staff come out so we can introduce them to the Grassroots, just as an educational session for your club. It could be a YMCA that's, obviously dealing with, completely brand new parent coaches, and they want a little bit of information just to entice them into this sort of coaching education pathway. So really it's really flexible, in terms of what it is and what we want to achieve with it. So as you can see there, again, it's not just our own sort of members. We sort of aim to go out into communities. So if you're in a community, and there's a YMCA program that you feel would be a good opportunity to try and connect and work with, again, we can provide these road shows that will help sort of engage some of those coaches and provide a little bit of, like I say, an introductory to coaching education. Just to give you an example of what one may look like, there's again a few different models. We have the online course in which coaches can take at any time. I think they're 2-hour courses online, and you earn the license. These are really just for us to come out and provide an introduction. So this 1-hour course is generally a classroom. However, in the current climate and moving into the spring season, you may want to just have a Zoom meeting. So it could be done online, and it would just be a basic conversation with your coaches, centered around the needs. And it could be grassroots. It could be a little bit more in depth. Obviously, if your coaches are already licensed, it could be a good reminder. But the 1-hour session is really just a classroom session or a Zoom call, just to go over the philosophy and obviously what is play, practice, play, that type of thing. Because some coaches will have gone through the old format with the, simple to complex. So it might be good just to get them up to speed and give them a little bit of information on the play, practice, play. The second one is the 2 hours. So obviously, again, it could be an hour in the classroom or an hour a Zoom call. And then we come out to the field, whether it's parents, coaches, you can invite, obviously your community out to provide that a little bit more of an education around coaching education, as it were. So again, I think any sort of questions around the roadshow, I'll be providing a little bit more information in depth, further as we get towards the spring season. I think the spring, obviously, with the current climate, spring is probably going to be our, goal for this program. So again, if you have any questions between now and then, look forward to having those discussions. And again, we'll be discussing some of these on the recreational committee call as well, in terms of what we can do and how we can provide it and facilitate it for the clubs. But it is really flexible. Like I say, if it's something that we want to support the clubs with in your own needs, so, keep that in mind. And obviously we look forward to sort of providing that as an additional to your programming starting in the spring season. Just county updates. Again, Montgomery County, they did put out some changes, specifically around, I think, a few different areas, one being spectators. The vote was postponed until next week, I believe. Again, using the WhatsApp, can you be sure to try and keep us up to date? If you are in any other counties that have made changes, again, it's a great opportunity, or it's a great resource, the WhatsApp, to keep everybody connected and up to date with what's going on around the state. Because obviously, again, we're not always aware of the changes in certain counties, so it's important that you try and help us keep up to date with some of those. Coaching education is the grassroots in-person courses, like I said, are open. We're looking to host as many as we can. They're in the blended format over the winter periods. Again, we're hoping for a mild winter, so the field session and then obviously the classroom portion has been moved to a Zoom class. So you can host a course for your coaches, but also if you host one in your community, that's also open to, other members from outside. So if you're in Montgomery County, often you'll get people from Howard County, that will, again, attend the course. So it's not like you have to fill the courses. The only thing that you really need to provide is the field, is the facility. And again, we'd like to create as many opportunities as we can over the winter, to keep providing those grassroots in-person courses. I mentioned, I think on the last call, the D license won't be available after the current. There's 2 that are in the development period right now that we hope to complete by the end of November. There are maybe mid-December, but there are, the new curriculum, the blended format will not be available until March 2021. So we're going through the education process there to in the new format. And then really, again, to book host a course, the booking form is actually on the website there. If you just search in at the top bar, host a course, the booking form is actually on the page. Again, the details of what you need to be able to facilitate a course is on there as well. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and let me know. Before we move on to Gandalf, I think there was one more. I just kind of like to open it up, and if you want to, if you want to put in the chat feature, that's fine. Any questions? But I'd like to ask for a little bit of feedback. We've been producing the grassroots newsletter and curriculum. It's been going out on a weekly basis. I think this week or next week is the last week. Obviously, we're getting close to the end of the season. Any feedback is good. I mean, obviously, we're looking to build on it. But I'll give you about 30, 60 seconds. If anybody has any questions or thoughts on the newsletter, please let us know.
Alan, great stuff. Appreciate it. Very efficient. I hope it helped everybody. Next on the ticket is going to be Gandalf, who's going to talk about the latest information and updates for ODP. Go ahead, Gandalf.
Thanks, Mark. So ODP has moved now from our fall tryout cycle, and we're headed into the actual program getting started. We're really excited. Obviously, coming into the fall, much like most of the clubs around the state, we didn't have a great idea of really, what to expect. for the fall cycle. And as a result, the rest of the program throughout the year. So we're excited to be able to share that trials went well. Registration, much like many of the travel programs across the state is up. We had a really solid number of players register, slight increase over last year, actually. We did change a few things about the program for this coming year. Much like many other programs, we did extend that upper age group. So we have U18s for the players that maybe weren't able to participate due to COVID in their last cycle here for ODP. And so that, had a slight impact on the numbers, but overall the program is looking very healthy. We have all of our age groups now have been set, have our parent meeting coming up here on November 19th. Beyond that, we're then going to have the program begin actually having the events occur with friendlies and outdoor trainings for the winter. In the past, those winter trainings have been inside. We're excited to be able to have them outside on turf. And the classroom portions of those winter training sessions will be occurring via Zoom as opposed to in-person indoors. So overall, really excited, to get the program actually out on the field and training, and overall really healthy looking for 2021. If anybody has any questions about it, I'm happy to discuss. We are, as always, open to any coaches that the club leadership has on staff that they would like to recommend. Not necessarily for this coming 2021 cycle, obviously, because we are currently staffed, but we do look to to build the upcoming cycle for replacement coaches whenever they can be recommended to us. If anybody has any questions, though, happy to jump on a call with you to describe what maybe what's going on with the program at the moment. There has been some changes, obviously, at the regional and national level. They were occurring before COVID, but have also continued throughout the the last 9 months with things such as the Girls Academy League and MLS Next and partnerships there through US Youth. And overall, really, the biggest thing that I can not reiterate enough is ODP today is not what ODP was 10 years ago. And we are continuing at the state, regional, and national level to look to make the program be the best it can be for the landscape that we have today. So happy to chat with anybody if they have any questions about that. I'm always available here at the office. So.
All right, thanks, Gandalf. Appreciate it. Anybody have any questions before we move on?
Hey, Gandalf, can you mention a little bit about the supplemental tryouts and what that would require for a player that maybe was injured or could not come out to the initial tryouts?
Absolutely. So in 2017, I instituted a program for our state that allows any technical person in a club, so a technical director, a director of coaching, somebody who has some kind of oversight of the age groups, to basically write a recommendation for a player to come out, and that extends also to ODP coaches that are current and former. So the idea being that we can find these players around the state anytime from now through April 1st, and with just a recommendation on their behalf, we would then be able to bring them out at any point to join the program for supplemental training. Additionally, through the fall, obviously, with it being a contact sport, we do have players that are injured and or sick, that kind of thing, and are unable to join us for the open tryouts, and we extend them that same opportunity. Our goal is obviously to find those players and to provide them with the opportunity to try out. So even though our pools have already been set at the moment, we're fortunate that we have a pool mentality as opposed to a rostered team mentality, meaning it's open-ended. In a pool of 24 players, for example, for the under 15 boys, though, we're not looking to add number 25. We're looking to add player number 14 or player number 7 or player number, somebody who's going to increase the average of that pool. So we do still provide those opportunities to the players that they missed, or if we find somebody new, again, and that process continues all the way through April 1st.
Very good. Any other questions before we move on? Okay, next, I want to make just a brief statement about registration. This is the second year now that we've changed our platform, and we used to have a lot of problems in the past. For some of you that are new and some of you that have been around for a long time, I'm sure you can concur that in the past we used to have tons and tons of issues with registration. I'm happy to say that our registration specialist has really caught us all up on our registration, our new registration platform. She's done a great job. She works, I hate to say, 24/7. She's always willing to try to get something done for a team or club, as long as they comply with the rules and regulations. And we as a state association are very happy with the way registration has gone and continues to go because of Jessica's hard work at maintaining this major change from one platform to the other. So Jessica, can you give just a quick report, and then we can move on?
Hello, everybody. So I am sure you've all noticed on the dashboard when you're logged in as the administrator of your club, an invoice. That invoice is for your travel players that were submitted to us for travel teams up until the date of that invoice creation. So if you want to delve in more as to the details of that specific invoice, all you need to do is select the numbers, the digits that comprise that invoice on the left. And then you will be in the invoice, and in the top right, you will see 3 black horizontal lines. If you select those 3 black horizontal lines, it will give you a choice to either look at the players or look at the teams within those players, so that you can then, depending on how you want to invoice your specific teams, you can pull up what those fees were. I'm sure a bunch of you have also noticed that the background check fee invoice has not been created yet. I will be doing those next week. And as always, if anyone has any questions or concerns, you are welcome to call me. Most of you already have my cell number from the list I'm looking. Everyone here has my cell number, but I'll give it again. It's 410-330-8692. And if you do want to pay with a credit card, you can also call our office, and Bob Shannon can assist you with completing a credit card payment. But with that, you will be charged a 2.9% plus 15-cent transaction fee. Keep that in mind. But again, you can just actually submit a check to pay those invoices as well. If anyone has any questions, please call me.
All right, thanks, Jessica. Any questions about registration before we move on? All right, next is, unfortunately, Bill Heiser won't be able to join us today. Bill is the Vice President of Recreation. He's fired up, as well as all of us on the board and across the state, to really start making rec a priority across the state. We've had a couple statewide webinars over the past month and a half with a huge amount of participation from across the state. And we are now going to select a committee, a working committee of recreation affiliates across the state of Maryland, comprising of about 10 to 12 individuals, to start having webinars together to come up with and create a plan moving forward. As you know, over in the past years, recreation always seemed to take a second place finish across the state, and we want to make sure that the rec affiliates and the rec player and the underserved becomes a top priority. So we're going to select in the next week or two, we're going to finalize a committee based on the participation and all the people that signed in over the last couple webinars. We're going to try to move it around and bring people from all over the state to make a fair representation of the rec climate, and see if this committee can start formulating a great plan and implement some changes that we can move on, in the near future. So stay tuned. If anyone has a burning desire, like we do, to participate in the on the rec committee, besides the selection committee that we're trying to find the best clear representation from across the state. If you really, really have a burning desire to be on the committee, please send, either on the chat or send me an email, or Bill or Flo. Let us know, and we'll put you in the camp of people that want to really be a participant of this committee, because we really want hardworking, dedicated people that want to make a big change as far as the rec goes. So if you're really, I know that a couple of you already, I just got a text, someone's already interested. So anyone who's very detailed and fired up for the rec, just let us know, and we'll consider you for this recreation committee. Okay, any questions before we move on? None. Then now we'd like to introduce Flo Egan, our executive director. Go ahead, Flo.
Thanks. I think we're gonna have to update that picture, guys. My hair is a different color now. What I wanted to talk to you about today is club leadership. We're kind of moving towards more the end of the fall season, and just quick reminders about the policies that we have in place regarding movement. We are beginning to see some transfers and players that want to transfer, and we're trying to work through with the clubs as far as whether these transfers will be approved, not approved. We also have, some issues with full teams. As club leadership, I want to stress to you strongly that when you, register players within your club, it would be in your best benefit to make sure that when you're charging the fees that the players are going to be charged to participate in your club and be on your teams during the year, that you have a written contract that the players sign, some sort of agreement. It makes it very difficult if in the middle of the year, a player all of a sudden wants to leave and owes the club money. We're trying to help you, help yourself to protect your club and your budgets. And we understand that's expensive, and a lot of the clubs do budget a year round. We do have on our website both the player, coach, and team movement policy. So we want to make sure that as club leadership, you make sure your coaches are familiar with that document as far as what they can and should not do. Even in addition to that, we have the non-payment of financial obligation policy. That talks about what the players and the families actually, what their obligation is, and what, so we want to help you as clubs to be able to collect any fees that maybe players have not, they played off ball, but they haven't given you any payment. And then for us to go back and try to, we're not a debt collector. So for us to go back and try to decide how the transfer is going to take place, we want to make sure we can help you as clubs as well. The other piece, the other document is the players' rights and obligations. Those are 3 documents that you can find on our website. They're under forms and documents. If you click on About Us, under forms and documents, or under bylaws and policies. So I think it's, as club leadership, it's really important for you to make sure when your team managers or your teams are being put together, that they do have something in writing from the parents, because a lot of times it becomes a he said, she said, and we're getting caught in the middle as far as we want to help the clubs make sure that they're, receiving what they're entitled to for services provided. But also, parents come back and say, well, I never signed anything. So it makes it kind of difficult. So I just think it's really important that you go back and look at what you're doing when the teams are registered, when you register the players. Also, that also has to do with scholarships. If you as a club are giving a player a scholarship, you can put a simple agreement in writing so that the parents understand what sort of scholarship they're receiving, and then what type of payment plan they would be on if they owed additional monies in addition to the scholarship that you're providing. It's just vitally important when we're trying to sort out whether a player, if the club does not want and disputes the player transfer, where the details are, and anything that you can provide to us as clubs will help your situation down the road. And anything, I know Jessica works a lot with the clubs regarding these transfers, and her and I talk all the time about, what sort of documents we need, and we want to make sure that those type of transfers, make sure the players receive what they need, but we also want to make sure we're protecting our members, which are the clubs as well. Okay? If you have any questions, Jess and I are always available to walk you through any help that you need.
All right, thanks, Flo.
You're welcome.
Next, we do have a guest. I was wrong this morning earlier. But he's really not an independent guest. He's part of the team that wants to be on our reporting schedule. So Jimmy Graham is the Maryland State Youth Referee Administrator. Good. It's always good to get an idea of what's going on in the referee world, because we can't play our games without referees. They're part of the puzzle, and it's always good to get their take of what's happening out there with the COVID and return to play. So Jimmy,
yeah.
I think you have some information you want to report to us today.
Well, I do. I want to thank you, Mark, and everybody for being so welcoming as a part of this team. There are occasions we make decisions that not everybody's happy with, but that's good because it brings us all together, eventually in the end. I just wanted to give everybody an update. We have stopped all the referee training courses in state until January 2021. We have about a waiting list of about 150 people who are interested in becoming referees. And we have a training session that we require grassroots referees to attend. So that is an excellent opportunity to come and become a part of our team. But as Mark has stated, we can't be here without the teams as well. So we understand we're providing a service in that area as well. We've covered 100% of the games that are playing. I do hope that the referees are communicating with the teams when it comes to various county restrictions, changes that the counties have implemented in the laws of the game. But as of right now, we have covered everything, and we think we're progressing very well. Our registration process for 2021 has been very streamlined by U.S. Soccer. If you're a registered referee in 2020, you will be a registered referee in 2021. So we're hoping that our numbers continue to increase based on that requirement. And with that, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Jimmy, I do have one question for you.
Yes, sir.
It's more in terms of a couple of coaches that I'd spoken to. EDP tries to encourage the spectators to be on the same side as the coach. Obviously, each team on the opposite sides. Some referees have asked if they can be on the same side so that they can deal with substitutes. I've encouraged my coaches as a whole to kind of, stick with the, EDP sort of guidelines.
Sure.
Have you had any sort of feedback on that, or any?
So the biggest feedback we have received is we want to elicit patience both from the coaches and the referees, and we're encouraging our referees to take a moment prior to the kickoff of any match and bring the coaches together and discuss any local rules, any specific league implementations, for that particular hour, day, whatever. The feedback that we specifically have gotten is from the referees is that it's hard. It's hard when you talk about county restrictions. It's hard when you talk about league restrictions. I would encourage coaches, if the referee of your match is not talking to you 5 minutes before kickoff, pull the referee aside. You know, have a conversation with the referee. Look, this is an EDP match versus a what was formerly known as a development academy match, right? All the leagues are implementing different guidelines for whether it be spectators or just players or just coaches or the bench area, the technical area in general. So, you know, the feedback is that it's hard because you have referees based in Howard County going to Baltimore County to officiate matches. You have them traveling to Montgomery County, and of course, all the local executives and all the local governing bodies have sort of changed things and made it much more difficult. But we're encouraging referees to talk to coaches prior to kickoff. I want to do the same thing for coaches. Encourage them to have a brief conversation with your referee or assistant referees for that match, and go over and have a discussion as to how things are going to be implemented for that day and that hour. I'm always a proponent of everybody being on the same page. We can have a valid discussion about any kind of decision that's made, but at least if you know where I'm coming from, that can, as a referee, then that can sort of tame things down and calm some of the emotion. But conversations are always a good thing in my mind.
Yeah. Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah, no, not a problem.
Okay.
And I specifically moved from Mark because he was complaining about, you know, not being able to see me, and he wasn't sure I was going to smile as much as my picture shows.
Well, we appreciate that. Any other questions before we move on?
Yeah, I do. Hey, Jimmy, where should we, if we get calls about, you know, in the office even, about someone that wants to take a referee course, who should we be directing them to? Because you are our conduit to the referee committee, right?
So absolutely. You know, so first off, you know, I'm more than willing to engage anyone who wants to become a referee. And I absolutely encourage, even if you don't want to become a referee, right? As I was just stating, come to me, talk to me about the thought process of a referee. And, you know, like I said, you know, that helps you not only understand the laws of the game, but more importantly, how a referee interprets the laws of the game. So, you know, you can ship anyone who wants to be a referee directly to me. I will in turn point them to the MarylandReferee.com website, you know, where they can register, be on our waiting list. I don't know if I have covered this in the past, but to become a grassroots referee requires about 9 hours, 8 to 9 hours of training, fully sponsored by U.S. Soccer. Maryland, being one of the 55 associations in the United States, does require that grassroots referee attend an in-person training session. That in-person training session, we will go over what to do as an assistant referee, what to do as a referee, what happens when you walk out on the field for the very first time. You know, we'll cover all the things that are not covered by U.S. Soccer. And it will be starting January 2021 in a group session on a field. And, you know, we'll hopefully have folks that come dressed appropriately. It is some work, but you know, feel free if anybody has any questions about the referee community. You know, we can have discussions about specific incidents that happen in a match. I'm more than welcome to engage that conversation, and we can just take it from there.
Jimmy,
Sounds great. Anybody else?
Jimmy, where are the courses generally located? Do you spread them out across the state, or can clubs host any of these courses?
So we will always welcome clubs helping the referee community and sponsoring a course or a field. And yes, they are spread across the entire state. We do have representatives on the Eastern Shore. We have, of course, the majority of our referees are probably are located in Central Maryland. but that doesn't exclude us from dealing with Frederick and Washington and Allegheny County as well. So, you know, we try and do our best. The state director of instruction does his absolute best in making sure that these kinds of courses and get-togethers are distributed throughout the state based on, you know, we may have, you know, 5 people from Frederick County and 2 people from Carroll County. We will absolutely find a central place that we can cover and get these folks together.
Awesome.
Great. Thanks, Jimmy. Any other questions? If not, we're going to move into our last phase, which is the good and welfare of soccer in the state of Maryland. At this point, anybody can make comments, ask questions, and we're here. Go ahead. Alan, go ahead and ask your question. Julio, ask me a question.
More than a question, I just the sadness of Trish. That's all, you know. You guys, I know we should do something special for her and her son. So that's all. She's been with us for so many years that, you know, it's sad, just sad. That's all.
It's such a sad situation. You know, I was thinking during this webinar about something that we could do as a soccer community to help her in any way. I'm not sure if anybody has any ideas. You know, it's really unbelievable, but Trish is a board member and a vital member of the soccer community. And during the time when her son Patrick was ill in the hospital on a ventilator, she still found time to communicate with the board and answer questions and ask questions. It's beyond me that she's able to you know, to still participate with us in this dark time when you lose someone that you love so much. So, you know, go ahead, Julio.
I think the best way to, I don't know, maybe you guys have more ideas, but one of the best ways I will say, since being on the soccer community with us for decades, have a game. 2 different clubs have a game, put the name and memorial of his son or her, or a tournament, only one-time tournament and the name of their son or Trish. You don't have to have every year a tournament with his name, but at least something to commemorate the memory of him or her, you know, the last name of the tournament, for example. Some, I don't know, you know, she was very involved with the Spirit and in one point, you know, maybe the professional thing can do and us go to the game. I don't know, something like that involves soccer, a soccer game. I mean, it's my idea. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
No, that's a good idea. I mean, I was even thinking of having some of us meet at her house, just drive over there with, you have like a candlelight visual, just stand there and show her we support her, something like that. I don't know. Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, obviously we're doing something with DC United because just like, you know, the Spirit, we've had a relationship with the Plex as well. But on a side note, I was going to ask you, is there any kind of, and maybe too soon for this, is there any kind of memorial, like donations are being accepted, something like that? Or is there, here, I'm going to throw this idea out though, okay? I'm going to suggest that we start a scholarship in his name for, you know, players. And, you know, if everybody just chips in a few bucks here, we could help a player, you know, in need or something like that in his name. And maybe that's a cool way to give back. I'm you know, throwing some ideas out here.
No, that's a good idea. We actually, some of us were already talking about that, having some kind of you know, scholarship fund through MSYSA that she's a vital member of, and maybe have like the MSYSA State of Maryland, you know, Patrick Heffelfinger, you know, scholarship fund, where, you know, that would be a nice thing. I think that would really touch her and keep his memory alive, you know, every year. So, well, I guess we'll have to come up with some different ideas and maybe chat again.
Yeah, maybe there's an award too. That's,
Yeah.
you know, something like at the AGM.
Any other questions, concerns, comments before I get rid of you guys for 2 weeks?
Hey, Mark, we did on the recreational slide that we had with Bill Heiser, and I'm going to be having a conversation with Bill when he's available. On there, it said the free membership for United Soccer Coaches. That is something that United Soccer Coaches reached out to us regarding. They have a grant through Target, and there are some one-year memberships available. So I'm going to work with Bill on that as far as maybe getting the names of some recreational coaches that could possibly utilize that membership. So once Bill and I talk, then we can talk with the recreational committee about that. All right,
Sounds
because
good.
it has to do with a grassroots type grant through Target that United Soccer Coaches have. So
Sounds
if anyone
good.
saw that up on the screen, I didn't want you to wonder.
Julio, go ahead.
Last question, when I'm gonna put the patches on the jerseys? I see it over there. I am in 2026 FIFA World Cup.
Mhm, mhm. We, I can tell you, Julio, that we brought it up to USU Soccer to make sure that we as a state association are in compliance with what they're looking to do, but I will reach out and find out where they are with that decision. I'm thinking that's a great idea, something we can do for the teams going forward.
DC, Maryland looks pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? All right, guys, thanks for joining us again. We really appreciate it. We'll see you in another 2 weeks. And hopefully in 2 weeks, we'll be able to announce our new rec committee that we're going to put together. And hopefully Flo will have information on those patches within the next meeting. And Alan, we'll tell Alan next time that the meeting's on a Thursday instead of a Friday.
Hey, I keep missing my meetings during these calls. I've got a coaching education video to watch now.
Thanks again, everybody, for participating, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Thanks.
See ya.
Thanks, Mark.
See ya. Yes, Malo.